Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about a feeling I'm pretty sure we've all had, but maybe don't totally get: restlessness. It's more than just having one too many cups of coffee. It's that deep internal buzzing that can just throw your whole day out of whack.
You know that feeling, don't you? Your mind is just going a mile a minute, your leg is bouncing, and you've got this constant urge to do something, anything, even when there's nothing to be done. It's that antsy, can't get comfortable feeling that is just so frustrating. Okay, so let's actually define this. At its heart, restlessness is this inner state of feeling antsy or just uneasy. And it's not just in your head, right? It's a full body thing where you just cannot find a state of calm.
Now, there's a clinical term for this that I think is just perfect: hyperarousal. It's such a great description, isn't it? It basically means your nervous system is stuck in the on position, constantly in go mode, even when there's absolutely no reason for it to be.
And you can see how this splits in two sides of the same coin. On the physical side, you've got fidgeting, pacing, maybe your heart's beating a little faster. And on the emotional side, oh yeah, racing thoughts, feeling irritable, and trying to focus is just impossible. It's a really nasty feedback loop. The physical tension feeds the mental chaos, which then makes your body even more tense. So this is where we take a really important turn. I mean, feeling restless once in a while is totally normal. But what if it's all the time? What if that constant on-edge feeling isn't just a bad day, but a little window into something much deeper? In the medical world, a really severe, persistent version of this is called psychomotor agitation. Let's break that down. Psycho for the mind, and motor for movement. Your mind is so agitated that it makes your body move restlessly. And here's the kicker: it's not just some random issue. It is a key, recognized symptom of major depressive disorder, or MDD. That's a huge connection to make, from just feeling antsy to a major symptom of depression. And we are not talking about a small problem here. The global burden of MDD, which is its total impact on health and disability worldwide, has shot up by a staggering 37% since 1990. That just shows you how widespread and serious this condition really is. The consequences are very real. Depression can make it tough to work. It bumps up the risk for other major diseases like type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease, and it's one of the leading causes of disability on the entire planet. So understanding every little piece of this puzzle is a massive public health priority. Well, that urgency has pushed researchers to look in some new, maybe even unexpected places. It's led them to a field you could call nutritional psychiatry, and they're asking a really interesting question. Besides all the usual treatments, what part does our food play in all of this? And that question brings us to this incredible piece of research from Finland. So get this, it all started way back in 1984. They started tracking the health and diets of a group of middle-aged men. For almost 20 years, they collected data, until finally, in 2013, a thesis came out that connected the dots between what these guys ate and their risk for depression. What I think is so smart about this study is that they didn't just look for one magic nutrient or superfood. Instead, they used a whole diet approach. They wanted to know how the big picture, the overall pattern of eating, was linked to mental health. So after digging through all that data, two very different dietary patterns started to pop out. The first one, well, it's probably going to sound pretty familiar to most of us. They called it the Western diet. And here's what was on the menu: lots of sausages, processed meats, sugary stuff like candy and ice cream, sodas, French fries, and other manufactured foods. You get the picture. It's a diet high in processed foods, unhealthy fats, and sugar. The second pattern they found was basically the polar opposite of the first one. This one they called the prudent diet. The prudent diet, as you might guess, was full of fresh and cooked vegetables, fruits, berries, whole grain breads, lean protein like chicken and fish, and low-fat cheese. You know, a pattern packed with whole foods and nutrients. Okay, so here it is, the big reveal. When they compared these eating patterns with the men's health records, the connection was crystal clear. The more a man's diet looked like the Western pattern, the more likely he was to have symptoms of depression. On the flip side, the more his diet looked prudent, the lower his chances were. So the big question is why? Well, the researchers had a theory. They suggested that a healthy whole foods diet helps manage some key systems in the body, specifically inflammation and oxidative stress. You can kind of think of those two things as a form of biological rust that can damage our cells, including our brain cells. And more, scientists are linking that rust to the biology of depression.
Now, I have to be super, super clear about this. This is incredibly important. This study shows a powerful connection, a correlation. It does not prove that a prudent diet cures depression or that a Western diet causes it. Science is all about adding pieces to a giant puzzle, and this is a really important piece, but it's not the whole puzzle. A healthy diet is not a replacement for professional medical care.
So let's just do a quick recap of the journey we just took. We started with that everyday, antsy feeling of restlessness, and we saw how it can actually be a sign of a real clinical symptom in depression. Then we saw how these huge long-term studies are finding new clues about depression risk. And finally, we landed on this fascinating idea that our overall way of eating shows a pretty significant link to our mental health.
And that leaves us with a pretty powerful thought to chew on. We totally accept that what we eat shapes our bodies and our physical health, right? That's a given. So the real question this research opens up is, what else could it be doing for our minds?